So, so I got the BA degree in art from University of Washington, and somewhere in that process, I kind of realized that I wasn't really a very good artist. Along with my realization that I wasn't really that good an artist, I think came the realization that if I put my mind to it and looked at other people's art as a possibility, that I could do something with that. But then I don't think any dealer in the country any longer can survive on a regional basis. I think it's foolhardy to try. With the internet, with the big wide world out there, why would you want to just cultivate an entirely local clientele? In truth, I think the art fair is about being seen. It's really, I think, the new form of advertising. That you're there, you're alive, you're well, you're working. These are the artists we're working with, and people are paying attention to that. And there are simply a lot of collectors that we wouldn't meet any other way. I used to have the sense that if you went to an art fair, like, I don't know if you remember this, but the first art fair I did was in Chicago in 1985, back in the Navy Pier, and the old Navy Pier. And I was amazed to go there for a weekend and pay more in rent for my space there for it must have been a 10 by 14 foot space or something. That space cost me more than my entire year's worth of rent here in Seattle. And yet, at the end of that weekend, I had made 20-something sales, and I was astonished by it, as were my artists. I do have to get an understanding of an artist. I certainly can't just fall in love with the work, because I see a lot of art that I like. So if that's your largest criteria, and then from there you have to say, well, of all those artists that I like, which ones, can I work with? Which ones want to work with me? Which ones can I do something for? Then that's an ever smaller subset of that first large group of things I like. I am fond of telling artists that when they come to work with us, that they will not see me very often in their studios, that I am not a dealer who likes to hang out in the artist studios and influence them in any way. I really believe that in those situations, for artists to create their own studio situation where they can get feedback from other artists, and to have colleagues, to have peers, to have people you trust give you feedback on your work, I think is much more beneficial than what an art dealer thinks about it. I think the internet is the leveling device for the whole art world that allows all kinds of things to happen all sorts of places. I think art fairs are an embellishment of those of us who have spaces to show art in. And, there are simply too many art fairs now to think that there's any one of them that's going to make or break any dealer. And there are dealers I know who do 5 or 6, 7 art fairs a year. I just can't imagine it. I'm too happy being home. My biggest pet peeves with artists are in the arena of making information about your work available to us. Like getting good pictures of your work. Don't bring us pictures and then a week later say, I'm going to have those reshot, and then 2 weeks later decide that it's time to go to a professional and reshoot them again, because we're going to deal with those photos every time you bring them to us. If you can't make up your mind about a title, I say hold on to that artwork until you've decided on the title, because that just creates paperwork for us. Dealers, it's very easy when somebody makes an identifiable expression. I'm not going to say a product, but an expression that is theirs and no one else's, and they do that well, and they refine it and they make subtle changes to it, but you always recognize that you're looking at that artist's work. I love that, but I think there are also people who are quite schizoid about what they make, and that can be interesting too. Michael Darling curated a beautiful show that was called Painting in Tongues, and was about artists whose work is just diametric opposition every time they show something, and it has that very schizoid look to it. even a one-person show. You know, I find that a little hard to deal with when you have to really search for connecting the dots. But I really do like change in an artist's work.